Welcome to my closet. It's a work in progress. Today we're going to talk about how I got bullied into rearranging my face and then had a mental breakdown and tattooed my neck. So I first started getting beauty procedures when I was 27 years old, I believe, 26 or 27. Actually, if we want to go way, way back, it started with removing the mole on my forehead because one person one time commented, "Look at that chunk of meat on her forehead," and it caused me to go get it removed because I was already insecure about it. It's one of those things where people are like, "Oh, nobody notices that but you." And then when you're on the internet in front of thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people, all of a sudden, a lot of people notice and they will let you know that they notice. So I maybe got bullied like here or there when I was growing up about my nose. I actually got bullied more for my butt because it was the early 2000s and I always had a bubble butt. So people literally called me bubble butt and it was a bad thing. And I was very embarrassed by it. Look at me now. The only time that really stands out to me was in college one time. There was like this bartender who had some beef with me at the bar that I worked at. And she texted me one time and was like, "Listen, you big nose bitch." And I was like, "What are you talking about, Genevieve?" But then I got on Vine and it seemed like so many comments were talking about my nose, big bird, big nose, Jew, which is super offensive to me and also Jews. Like, it's so rude on so many levels. It's like anti-Semitic. And then I came to YouTube and it became this like platform-wide joke because it wasn't just hate comments anymore. It was major creators at the time hating on my nose, like calling me Toucan Sam, being celebrated for openly making fun of me. And it started to really affect me. So one day I'm scrolling on YouTube and I get served a BuzzFeed video about non-surgical nose jobs. So I'm like, I'll click. So I clicked and it was about how you can get filler in your nose to not make it smaller, but give it the illusion of being smaller by filling in different gaps or spaces and just making it look a little bit straighter and more proportional to your face. So I was like, perfect. I want to go get the little crook in my nose straightened out. But when I got there, they wanted to put filler in the tip of my nose. And I said, I really don't want to do that. I want to remain myself. I'm Middle Eastern. I don't want to hide my ethnicity. I want to be myself. And he said, well, the tip of your nose is really droopy. So I think you'd be a lot happier if you lifted the tip. And it's like, well, when you put it like that. And the doctor assured me it's reversible. It's not permanent. If you don't like it, you can just come in and dissolve it and it'll be like it never happened. So I figured, all right, well, since it's reversible and free, because this is a little secret about the industry that a lot of people don't really talk about, is a lot of influencers are getting it for free so that they'll post about it. So I get it in my tip and immediately I was like, I love this. I feel so much more secure in front of a camera. I'm not as uncomfortable smiling. It looks so much better. And I asked everybody else what they thought and nobody else noticed. They were just like, what did you do? And I was like, oh, I put like filler in the tip. And they were like, huh? Nobody else really noticed. Funny how that happens. So here's the thing with filler. It dissolves and it moves. So one time I had just gotten this filler done and I was making out with this guy and all of a sudden I hear this loud sound. That wasn't good enough. I hear a loud crack and pop at the tip of my nose and I shouted because it hurt. And then the next morning when I looked in the mirror, I noticed, I wish I still had a picture of this.
We're in luck.
I had this like bulb sitting at the tip of my nose. Like the filler had migrated from where it was and was just sitting at the very tip. So I call the doctor and I'm like, dude, the filler must have had some type of air bubble in it or something and it popped and it shifted. And he was like, that's impossible. And I'm like, well, what is it then? So then I had to dissolve the entire thing. And if I was smart, I would have just let it go at that. Like, okay, this is obviously a bad idea. Let's just let this go. But I get it all dissolved. And when I get it dissolved, I was so uncomfortable not having it done because of looking in the mirror and seeing a straighter, more lifted nose that of course I had to get it done again. So I went back and I get it done and just accept like, oh, this is a part of my life now. I'm just going to be getting filler in the nose for the rest of my life and that's okay. So I switched to somebody else. And when I went to that person, they said, you should really get your chin done. And I was like, what? No, I don't want to get my chin done. You know, it's cute. And she said, well, your chin is recessed. And I'm like, well, when you put it like that, and it's reversible and it's free. So I said, okay, load her up. So then when I go back for touch-ups for my nose and my chin, it's, you should really get your smile lines done. And I'm like, what? That's how I smile. That's just my face. And they said, yeah, but like, don't you see how it like makes you look older? How there's these big lines down the center of your face? And I'm like, oh, well, when you put it like that, plus it's reversible and it's free. So then I get my smile lines filled. So when I came back to get my nose and my chin and my smile lines touched up, they told me, you should really get some filler in your jaw. And I was like, filler in my jaw? No, I don't want a big jaw. What's wrong with my jaw? And they said, well, your face is really asymmetrical. Do you see how this side is so much less structured than this side? It would really make you look a lot thinner and younger. And I said, oh, well, when you put it like that, plus it's reversible and it's free. So I go back and I'm getting my nose and my chin and my smile line and my jaw touched up. And then they said, you should really get your lips done. And I said, no, absolutely not. This is my hard line. Everybody in LA has their lips done. I'm totally okay with my lips. I think they look really cute on my face. And they said, no. You're not gonna look like, one of these LA girls with the filler. We can do it really subtle. But don't you see how this side of your mouth is so much longer and thinner and how this side hangs lower? We can really just make it look more symmetrical so you don't look so lopsided. And I said, well, when you say it like that. So then I go to get my nose and my chin and my smile line and my jawline and my lips touched up, and they tell me, have you ever had Botox? And I said, no, I don't want Botox. I don't want my face to freeze. And they said, no, it won't freeze. Go ahead and lift your eyebrows for me. So I said, and they said, oh yeah, you're gonna love Botox. They said it's temporary and it's free. So then I go back and I get touch-ups for my nose and my chin and my smile line, jawline, and my Botox. And they said, you should really get your under eyes done. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Why would I get my under eyes done? Why would I want my under eyes to look puffy? And they said, well, because your under eyes are really sunken and it makes you look really tired. And I was like, oh, well, when you put it like that, plus it's reversible, plus it's free. So then I got my under eyes done. So then I go back to get my nose and my chin and my smile lines and my jawline and my lips and my Botox and my under eyes touched up. And she said, you should get your temples done. And I said, what? Like the side of my head? And they said, yes, it's the triangle of youth. When you get older, you lose the fat around your temples and it makes you look so aged and old. But if you get your temples filled, then you'll look so much younger. Look how sunken your temples are. And I said, well, when you put it like that, plus it's reversible, plus it's free. And then they said, have you ever considered neck liposuction? And I said, no, I haven't, and I'm not interested. And they said, well, don't you see the right side of your face hangs a lot lower than the left side of your face? As you get older, it's only going to get worse because your skin is adhering to the fat, which will ultimately always droop instead of the muscle. It's really preventative, just like Botox. You should really get this procedure, plus it's free. And I said, no, this is my hard line. I'm not getting plastic surgery. I've already done so many things I never thought I'd do, but this is my hard line. I am not getting plastic surgery. And they assured me, no, it's not plastic surgery at all. Really, it's actually so minimal. The needle is barely bigger than what we would use for a filler. You don't even have to be put under for it. It's such a quick procedure. You'll be in and out in 15 minutes. It's actually easier and less invasive and less painful than lip injections. And I said, no. So then for the next year or so, I would get texts or calls, or anytime I would come in for a touch-up on my nose, my chin, my under eyes, my smile line, and my Botox, they would remind me, like, you would really, really love the way you would look if you got this neck liposuction. And I said, no, and I don't want to promote that to my audience, because all this time I've already been promoting all of these fillers and all of these other medical cosmetic procedures. And she said, well, you don't even have to post about it. We'll just do it for free as a favor. And it was that's the part that I really sit with. What was the end goal? If I'm not paying for it and I'm not even posting about it and telling people that I did it, what is the end goal? And I realized that it was just this endless pursuit to try to make me an influencer who would go to these spas and get these cosmetic procedures to look as perfect to their image of beauty as possible. So I said no, I said no, I said no. And then in August of 2021, everything was falling apart around me. I felt like I had no control. And then I get a text saying like, hey, have you considered this neck liposuction? I think that it would look really great on you, and it's free. So I booked it, and it was not what I was expecting. I was told that I could do it literally at the office that I was getting my fillers. It wasn't. It was at a surgery center. I was told that I could stay awake for the procedure, and then I was told that they insist that I go under anesthesia. I had a panic attack as I was going under on the table because I was so afraid. Like, this just became a major procedure. I'm going under general anesthesia. I wasn't really given too much post-care instruction at all. Such an unnecessary thing. Like, it's just, I wasn't expecting so much of it, and I was already going in such a just like mentally messed up place. And then I woke up, wore my little wrap for 2 weeks, and I took it off, and I was like, okay, I look the same. I look pretty much exactly the same. But what did happen was months later, I started noticing these tendons pulling down the front of my neck and stretching out the skin, and it looked so just skeletal. Like, when I looked in the mirror, I saw like the human bodies exhibit where you can see all of the anatomy underneath, and I would look in the mirror and I hated it. I thought it made me look so much older. I thought it was just so distracting. It was just super triggering to me. Like, I literally couldn't look at anything else in the mirror. And then everything else on my face started transforming when I would look in the mirror. Like, I was having this serious dysphoria, which happens when you're looking at yourself in a screen all day. Like, it's not natural. So I'd look in the mirror and I would see these tendons just pulling down my neck. I went under this unnecessary procedure that I did not need, but I came out looking worse. And that was the part that I just couldn't even stomach. And not only that, but when I would look in the mirror, I didn't just see tendons going down my throat. I saw the absolute lack of self-esteem and self-love that got me to that point. All of the hate and the trauma and sense of having no control over anything that got me to that point. It was like compounded trauma. Like, I did this thing to escape this feeling, and then I made it so much worse. And now I find myself grappling with trying to figure out how to remedy this situation, this thing that I look in the mirror and I feel like a monster. I feel like an old witch. Like, I literally could not stand looking at myself, and it hurt. So then I Googled, why is this happening? Like, after neck liposuction, tendons, da-da-da-da-da. And it was, this is what happens when a doctor is too aggressive and you didn't have enough fat in the first place to be removed. So then I hit up the people and I'm like, well, what do I do about this? And they're like, oh, well, we can start doing Botox treatments on it. And then at one point in all of this, it was suggested to me that I should start getting cheekbone fillers. And she said, well, then we'd put some filler in your mid-face to even it out.
I did not get cheekbone or mid-face fillers, whatever that means. I only got nose and chin and smile line and jawline and lip and under eye Botox and temple and liposuction of the neck. Lol. It's really not that funny, actually. Face with big pleading eyes.
It feels like an attack. It's like, okay, this is someone who's obviously already insecure about their appearance in some way. Let's see how far we can push this. So anyway, one day I'm in the mirror and I have a show coming up, and I'm getting so insecure to get on stage because I'm afraid that people are going to be looking at me from this angle because I'm going to be on the stage. My worst nightmare at this point was people are going to focus on this. Like, I literally was walking around like this so that people couldn't see the damage to my neck. So I bought a pack of tattoos because I was originally wanting to put a butterfly all around my jawline, and I got the appliques and I messed up the first one, wiped it off, messed up the second one, wiped it off, messed up the third, wiped it off, and then I had this stag beetle. It was massive. But I was just like, whatever, I'll see how it feels. So then I put the stag beetle on and I just instantly became obsessed with the way it looked. I loved getting ready with it on. I loved doing my makeup. I loved the way it looked when I danced. And most importantly, I loved the way it covered the tendons and the damage that was done to my neck. So I kept buying these tattoos over and over. And after wearing them for a couple weeks, and the way that it raised my self-confidence and my happiness and the way that people looked at me when I walked in a room, I wanted that forever. It was like putting on this costume, like this literal costume. It was a shield. Like, it was literally like I changed who I was. So I was like, I'm doing it. And that's the reason I got the neck tattoo that nobody knows. And guess what? It worked, because by the time it was time to remove it, I actually had forgotten that that was the initial reason I got it. Because there was a moment when I decided that I was removing them, that I was beating myself up. Like, why would you do this to yourself? You're so stupid. And I really had to ask myself, why did you do this? And then I remembered, oh, to cover up the tendons that were really affecting me. It was so that I could stop looking in the mirror and seeing compounded trauma. It was that I could just be somebody else and focus on something else. And it worked. It worked to the point that I forgot. So for all intents and purposes, the tattoos served a purpose in my life. Like, it was an obsession, it was a rumination that I couldn't get away from. It was affecting me so much to look in the mirror and see myself, so I had to change myself for a very short period of time. And I can't tell you like how good it feels to look in the mirror again and see myself. Not just like the removal of the tattoos, but now that my face is back to my face. I've gotten filler dissolved, a lot of it has worn off naturally because it's not forever, it is temporary, it is reversible. I stopped getting Botox, I just started taking care of myself, doing my skincare, and accepting whatever comes as I age, and loving every angle of my face, even the right side of my face, which I've hid for so long. It just is what it is. All of the things that they pointed out to me are true. I'm not symmetrical. This nostril is actually higher. This side of my lip is actually longer and thinner. This eyebrow does hang lower than this eyebrow. I do have wrinkles when I raise my forehead. This side of my jaw is not as strong as this side of my jaw. This cheekbone is higher and stronger than this cheekbone. This eye is more downturned than this one. My chin is a little bit recessed. And I'm really pretty. So you agree? You think you're really pretty? I do. And I feel so much prettier now today than I have in the last 7 years that I was doing all of those procedures. You could see the ugliness of the insecurity and the vanity that was inside of me exuding out. So much of my time and focus went into those appointments, looking in the mirror, seeing what was dissolving and what was shifting. And it is so disorienting. It warps your mind when you're looking in the mirror and your face is constantly changing, because filler changes, filler moves, it migrates, it dissolves. So your face literally is changing from week to week. And every time you see something that's a little bit different, you go back and they point out a new insecurity. They add more filler until eventually your face is completely unrecognizable. And the reason that I felt so compelled and have been wanting to say something about this publicly for so long is because I was promoting that lifestyle for the sake of getting it for myself for free. It's one of the most shameful things of my life, promoting these cosmetic procedures to my young, impressionable audience who is looking up to me in so many ways. I cut off my hair and dye it purple. They cut off their hair and dye it purple, looking for what I'm wearing so they can wear it too. They're using the words I use. They're clipping my videos and making memes and GIFs. And here I am telling them to go fix their face, hiding behind some blanket of, oh, you should do what makes you happy, as opposed to you should love yourself and be happy with who you are. It's a never-ending cycle. And if any of the people who watched me then and anyone else who's watching me now, if you're listening right now, please hear me when I say you don't need it. It will not bring you happiness. I'm sure there's thousands of people out there who will tell you the nose job made them happy, the boob job made them happy. Fine. I'm not going to take away from their testimony. If you can find that love in yourself because you know that what you are, please hear me when I say this, what you are is a perfectly designed masterpiece, and your creator created you exactly the way he wants you. The most interesting pieces of art are the abstract, the abnormal, the messy, the less than perfect. Who said that a human being is supposed to be perfectly symmetrical? Ask yourself, who said it? Who said that you have to have a perfectly small upturned button nose? Who said that? Who said that you need big, full, juicy lips? Who said it? Is it somebody that has your best interest at heart? Is it somebody whose opinion should really matter to you? Whose opinion matters to you, and what do they think? Because if they think something about you that is negative based on your physical appearance, their opinion should not matter. I'm talking to myself right now, I'm saying the things that I wish that I had heard at the time. And I know that you're going to go out there and you're going to make your own choices anyways, and that's okay. But what I'm thinking about right now is when I went to a nose appointment, I was going to get a correction because something went wrong. And there was a girl sitting there. She was 16 years old, beautiful girl. She looked so cool and unique and statuesque, and she had such a cool nose with so much character. And I'm sitting in the waiting room and she comes up to me and she says, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're here. I'm here because of you. I saw your video and I've always been insecure about my nose, and I'm here because I saw your video. Thank you so much." And her mom came over and thanked me too. And I let myself feel good about that I brought a 16-year-old girl to a cosmetic procedure that can make you go blind. Nose injections can make you go blind. I risked my sight to have a more, I almost said better, a more ideal to who knows. And not only did I risk my sight, I risked the sight of that 16-year-old girl and so many other 16-year-old, 15-year-old, 18-year-old, 35-year-old, 40-year-old women and men and girls and boys, because I was vain and conceited and cared so much about what other people think. So here's me saying, first of all, I'm sorry to everyone who saw any of those videos and felt inspired or encouraged or compelled to go fix your nose, and quotes, fix your nose, because as many of you ran off to a cosmetic surgery center or day spa or whatever they want to call it and got your nose fixed, there are so many more people who saw me unhappy with my nose and looked in the mirror and hated theirs so much more. I've done so much damage by promoting these dumb, frivolous procedures. They're a waste of time, they're a waste of money, they're a waste of your sanity. Save yourself the time, save yourself the energy, save yourself the heartbreak, and just spend some time in the mirror and love yourself. If I could change one thing about this world today, this is my today wish, it would be that we all opened our eyes and actually genuinely meant it when we said, everybody's beautiful in their own way. Everybody is beautiful and nobody's perfect, and that's what makes us beautiful. We're all unique, we're all special. You know what's beautiful? Health. You know what's beautiful? Joy. You know what's beautiful? Love. You know what's beautiful? Kindness, generosity, humility, patience. These things are beautiful. You can be the most physically symmetrical, smooth person in the world and still hate yourself. So this is the reality of influencers and the absolutely toxic culture that we've created, where there's literally hundreds of women and men in line in wheelchairs at the airport because they flew somewhere to get a cheap BBL. Who said having a fat ass is desirable? When I was a kid, it wasn't. That just goes to show how fleeting this all is. Who said? I want you to know that I love you. I support you. If you do end up getting a cosmetic procedure, I'm not judging you at all. But if you're looking for advice, if you're looking for a sign, my answer as a friend to you would be take care of your skin, go to the gym, eat healthy, experiment with your style, let your differences and your weirdness become something that people envy. Set the new standard for yourself. Don't touch your body. Don't touch your face. Nose, chin, smile lines, jawline, lips, under eyes.